WWE has finished their exclusive negotiating window with Fox and Comcast for SmackDown and Monday Night Raw respectively, opening up the possibility of the shows going to either Disney, Amazon, Warner Bros. Discovery and Apple, with all parties being interested. Plenty to talk about when it comes to the television rights negotiations in WWE. Also an update on Drew McIntyre, the latest on his WWE contract, as well as talks of a possible return creative being prepared for the former WWE champion. Is Cody Rhodes going to be wrestling at Money in the Bank? Well, tonight on Raw we may have an answer to that. Have we also been informed of Kofi Kingston's in-ring return to WWE, and Roman Reigns' next title defense for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship has possibly been revealed? Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in a world of world wrestling entertainment. Before we get into that though, the next episode, episode 2 of our Monday Night Wars rewatch series, has now dropped exclusively for members of the WN365 roster. Another episode is going to be dropping this week, where we're going to be watching WWE Monday Night Raw. We have done the second episode of WCW Monday Nitro. As I mentioned, it's exclusive, easy for me to say, for members of the WN365 roster. So if you want to join that, click the join button, or it's also in the link in the video description below. Let's talk about WWE, and let's talk about television rights negotiations. Wow, this is a really fascinating story that has been written up today by the New York Post, talking about WWE finishing its exclusive negotiating window with Fox and Comcast/USA Network without a new deal. Again, this is coming from a report from the New York Post, so a significant major outlet outside of pro wrestling reporting this today. Now, of course, this isn't too surprising because most major deals do go to the open market, even if the incumbents remain the favourites, which is kind of the case in this sense. Now, obviously, we would maintain at this point that Fox with Friday Night SmackDown and USA Network with Monday Night Raw remain the most likely to re-up when it comes to these programs. That is usually the common thought at these points in deals that have been wins for both sides. However, of course, to quote WWE Hall of Famer, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, everybody's got a price, and certainly so does WWE, including to actually sell the company, or at least allow Endeavor to acquire it earlier this year. Now, the current deals for each show are for 5 years. Comcast pays $265 million per year to put Monday Night Raw on USA Network, whilst Fox pays $205 million per year for Friday Night SmackDown. These contracts run until October of next year, that being 2024. Now, of course, it's still very early in the process, but one party that does have interest in adding the WWE is Disney, according to sources once again from the New York Post. The potential cable placement, though, would not be on ESPN, but rather on FX. So, the New York Post has taken a closer look at really who is in play here. Now, what about the streaming rights for WWE? Well, of course, Peacock's 5-year, $1 billion deal, WWE streaming deal, is not in play for this round, as it's not up until March 2026, right before WrestleMania 42. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about television rights negotiations, not streaming rights right now. So we'll put that to one side. In terms of the numbers here, WWE, of course, is 52 weeks a year, and it still does draw, in comparison rather, to plenty of other cable or network television programs right now. For instance, last week, Fox picked up 2.563 million viewers, 955,000 of which were 18 to 49 for Friday Night SmackDown. Last week on USA Network, Raw had 1.828 million viewers. So who else could have big interest, if not remaining on USA Network with Raw and Fox for SmackDown? Well, besides FX, the biggest new player, according to the New York Post, could be Amazon Prime Video. Now, they're also adding, which is very interesting here, that Warner Bros. Discovery and Apple are dark horse candidates. Of course, it's significant that Warner Bros. Discovery could be perceived as a dark horse candidate because, of course, they are the broadcast home for all Elite Wrestling in the United States as well. That seems very, very unlikely. You've got Dynamite Wednesday on TBS, you've got Rampage Friday on TNT, and we're just about to launch this week AEW Collision on TNT as well. So that appears to be very unlikely, but it must be said, a new contract has not been agreed upon between AEW and Warner Bros. Discovery just yet. This is just an extension of the current deal of a cash injection to put Collision on the air. So Warner Bros. Discovery and Apple, as of right now, are dark horse candidates. CBS is not expected to be in on WWE rights. Netflix is always mentioned in these types of stories, but shouldn't be until they show any kind of willingness to spend big on these sorts of deals. So don't really consider CBS or Netflix to be a front runner or at least even in the conversation, but I suppose you never know. So in terms of some context on the people that certainly so far are certainly in this race, let's start off with Disney and FX. The reason, according to the New York Post, that FX makes more sense than ESPN is ESPN can't guarantee a night of the week to WWE. It has too many game commitments, so it can't just say Mondays are for WWE. They can't guarantee that. Furthermore, ESPN, of course, is a sports network. While some would describe pro wrestling as entertainment or sports entertainment, some could argue it doesn't really fully work on linear ESPN. Therefore, some are suggesting it actually doesn't really fit on that network. Of course, the pro wrestling purists would be a bit against that. When Peacock's streaming deal is up, though, ESPN Plus could be a contender again. ESPN Plus was on the last WWE streaming rights negotiations, and of course, with Endeavor acquiring WWE and merging with the UFC later this year, we know, of course, UFC's relationship with ESPN and ESPN Plus, that certainly could be a possibility in the future as well. As for television, the audience WWE draws could be a boom for FX, which has had to manage around the growing reality that scripted programs largely continue to migrate to streaming and commercial-free television. The potential Disney-WWE partnership does make some sense due to connections as well. ESPN chairman Jimmy Pitaro leads sports acquisitions for Disney. This is important because WWE recently joined forces with Endeavor. WWE CEO Nick Khan has a strong relationship with Pitaro and ESPN president of content Burke Magnus, while Endeavor's leaders Ari Emanuel and Mark Shapiro already have a bond with ESPN over its UFC deal. Money rules though, and relationships do matter, but ultimately money rules, so that's where you can bring in possibly Amazon. Amazon Prime Video will be in talks for WWE. You can see how it fits their strategy. They have shown a willingness to pay for big standalone events. The biggest, of course, is Thursday Night Football for $1 billion a year. It's exclusive and brings an audience that exceeded 10 million streamers in some weeks. Amazon tried to pair Big Ten football on Saturday nights with its NFL package, but lost out to NBC. While WWE might be hesitant to turn its broadcast distribution over to a streaming service, its program has a sticky audience that it finds shows regardless of really what broadcast platform or streaming platform they are on. During the 2022 Olympics, Raw moved from USA Network to Sci-Fi and kept 87% of its audience as compared to the average on its main network in the 4 weeks before the shift, according to Nielsen. If Amazon got it, Al Michaels enthusiastically reading WWE promos on a Thursday night into Friday makes some sort of sense as a promotional tool. Now, in terms of the dark horses that we mentioned earlier, at this point, we could put both Apple and Warner Bros. Discovery into this category of dark horses. They seem to be more focused on NBA, but one nugget that this New York Post reporter was told that may interest wrestling fans is that Warner Bros. Discovery does not have to stay exclusive to AEW. It would be something if it got in on WWE, but I think most wrestling fans, this one included, doesn't really see that. So the takeaway is here that Fox and USA Network, they want to keep WWE, which is significant. Not so much for USA Network, of course, they want to keep Raw. That's been its home for the majority of the time it's even been on the air, apart from a period of time where they were on Spike/TNN. But Fox, there had been questions about how profitable it was to have SmackDown on the broadcast network. Clearly, they're happy with SmackDown, particularly with the ratings they're delivering right now. But Disney and Amazon could each make a strong run at it. That is where things stand, but of course, it is still early. So what are your thoughts? Where do you think Raw will end up? Where do you think SmackDown will end up? Let me know your thoughts, as always, in the comment section below. Let's talk about Drew McIntyre, his current status within WWE. Former WWE Champion Drew McIntyre has been absent from WWE television since WrestleMania 39, where he and Sheamus were defeated by Intercontinental Champion Gunther. Since the event, Drew and the company have been in a bit of a contract dispute, with McIntyre's deal set to expire in February 2024. In an update on Drew's status per PW Insider Elite, there has been no update on McIntyre signing a new deal with the company amid his upcoming contract expiration. The report notes that one big crux of the conversation between the two sides is how McIntyre will be used from a storyline perspective, particularly how meaningful this storyline would be. The belief is said to be that with less than a year left on his deal, McIntyre doesn't want to be directionless or floating around when he already proved during the pandemic how important he can be to the company, both as an in-ring competitor and an overall ambassador to World Wrestling Entertainment. The belief is that until he and WWE can come to an agreement on how he would be used going forward, he won't be back. Now, the same report also gave an update onto if ever we could expect to see him back before his contract expires. Of course, McIntyre was drafted to the Raw brand in the 2023 WWE Draft despite his ongoing absence, and if WWE has their way, he'll be back into the fold before the end of the month. Per PW Insider Elite, there's been a push within WWE Creative for McIntyre to be back into the storyline mix by Money in the Bank weekend in London, England. McIntyre is one of the company's top European stars, so naturally the company would want him back by then. PW Insider also notes that there were meetings last week specifically regarding pitches for McIntyre's return to the company. During his time away from WWE, McIntyre has officially become an American citizen. New World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins recently named McIntyre as a potential challenger for the title. Of course, if we get any more updates as to if and when McIntyre is going to return to WWE TV, or if indeed he has signed a new contract, we'll let you know. But what do you think with McIntyre? Could he return sooner rather than later, or will he never return to WWE TV? An update on Cody Rhodes as well, with Cody Rhodes and Money in the Bank set to take place in London at the end of the month. Many of WWE's top stars are set to feature on the show. One name that is currently without a role on the show is the American Nightmare himself, Cody Rhodes, who many saw as a potential favourite to win the Money in the Bank briefcase itself. With 5 of the 6 spots in the match filled, and the final spot set to be filled by the winner of Damian Priest versus Matt Riddle on tonight's episode of Raw, it seems as though Cody won't be in the match. However, in an update from WRKD Wrestling, Cody will indeed be a part of Money in the Bank's show, with his opponent set to be set up on tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw. On last week's show, Rhodes was slacked by Dominic Mysterio during his appearance on Miz TV, so Dominic being Cody's opponent at Money in the Bank would make the most sense. WRKD also noted that Seth Rollins, World Heavyweight Championship challenger for the show, will also be set up on tonight's episode of Raw. Cody is slated to face off against The Miz on tonight's show. So, who do you think Cody Rhodes will face off against? And also, who do you think Seth Rollins will defend the World Heavyweight Championship against at Money in the Bank in London at the end of this month too? An update on Kofi Kingston. Of course, Kofi Kingston was last seen in WWE on the March 3rd, 2023 edition of SmackDown, suffering an injury during a spot with Drew McIntyre. It had been previously reported that he would be out of action for 5 weeks, with the total length of absence depending on whether surgery was needed or not. While the 5-week period has long since gone, we have a glimmer of hope that Kofi Kingston is indeed set to return. In a social media post, WWE revealed the schedule for their upcoming tour of Germany that takes place later this year in October. The post was accompanied by a graphic that featured Kofi Kingston alongside his New Day teammate Xavier Woods. Whilst it must be said this isn't concrete information that Kingston will return, it's surely a positive sign that we could see him back soon. This only leaves Big E, who suffered a neck injury in March 2022 and has been rumoured to be making his return on a number of occasions, including before the recent WWE Draft. But as of right now, no Big E and no return rumours really since WrestleMania weekend. So if we get any update on Big E, of course, we'll let you know in the future. Finally, Roman Reigns, his next defense of the undisputed WWE Universal Championship and his first one of the new gold version of his title bout has been revealed. Reigns' last title defense came over Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 39 back in April. He wasn't at Backlash and challenged for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships at Night of Champions, and is rumoured to be in another tag team match, most likely him and Solo Sikoa versus the Usos at the Money in the Bank event later on this month. However, fear not, because Reigns will be putting the title on the line in a rare house show appearance this coming weekend. On Saturday, June 17, Reigns will defend against Rey Mysterio at the Heritage Bank Arena in Cincinnati, Ohio. A day earlier, Reigns will be appearing on SmackDown in Lexington, Kentucky. Also advertised for the Cincinnati house show is Seth Rollins defending the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, although his opponent isn't listed right now, as well as 5 championships on the line and over 30 top stars from Raw and SmackDown, including Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Matt Riddle, Shinsuke Nakamura, Gunther, the Usos, Becky Lynch, Bayley, and much more. So Roman Reigns defending the title for the first time since WrestleMania. The question is, will he defend it at Money in the Bank, or do you agree with a lot of the rumours and rumblings that he could be defending it in a tag team match? And I suppose that leads the question of, if not at Money in the Bank, when is he going to defend the championship next? Is it going to be at SummerSlam? And if it's at SummerSlam, who do you think the Tribal Chief is going to face off against? Is it going to be against Jimmy Uso? Is it going to be against Jey Uso? Is it going to be against Solo Sikoa? Who is the Tribal Chief going to defend the gold against, and when is he finally and eventually going to drop that championship? So there you go, guys. It's the latest WWE news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Remember, you can join the WN365 roster by clicking that join button either on just below this video or in the video description below. And I'll speak for you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.